This video is all about you, concerns the products and services you buy and the way these fit into your lives. So this video will describe some important aspects of the field of consumer behavior and some reasons why it is essential to understand how people interact with the marketing system. So what is consumer behavior? If you talk about consumer behavior, this covers a lot of ground. It is the study of the processes that are involved when individuals or groups select, purchase, use, or dispose of the products or services or ideas or experiences that can satisfy their needs and desires. Now, consumers, they take many forms, ranging from an 8-year-old child who begs her mother for a doll, or it may even cover an executive in a large corporation who helps to decide on a multi-million dollar computer system. The items that we consume include anything from juices, jeans, music, or even celebrities like Virat Kohli. The needs and desires we satisfy that range from hunger and thirst to love, status, and even spiritual fulfillment. So, is consumer behavior a process? In the early stages of development, the researchers referred to the field of consumer behavior as buyer behavior, which reflected the emphasis at that time in 1960s and 70s on the interaction between consumers and producers at the time of the purchase. But most marketers now recognize that consumer behavior is an ongoing process. It not merely what happens at that particular moment when the consumer is handing over the money or a credit card and receiving some goods or services. It is a lot more than that, and it is an ongoing process because it involves an exchange, a transaction in which two or more organizations or people they give and receive something of value, which is integral part of marketing. So when we talk about consumer behavior, there are three issues which emerge. First is the purchase issue, and we are going to look at the two issues from both the perspectives, from the consumer perspective and from the marketer perspective. So starting with the pre-purchase issue, if you talk about consumers' perspective, before the purchase, the issue is how does a consumer decide the need of a product? When exactly does that consumer realize that I need to satisfy, I want to satisfy this need? I really want something. It appear from physiological needs. For instance, I'm thirsty and I need a glass of water. Or a need might emerge because of some social deprivation. For instance, mobile phone. Everyone is buying this cool mobile set and I don't have it. I really want to buy it. So this is a consumer's perspective, the pre-purchase issue. And then he or she starts to look out for information. What are the sources of information? Should I search for it on the internet, or should I ask my brother, friend for a product that can satisfy my need? But from a marketing perspective, it is important to understand how are those consumer attitudes towards products formed or changed. For instance, if someone is thirsty, does he really need water? Or as a marketer, can I convince that particular customer that only a fizzy drink can satisfy that particular need? So from a marketer perspective, you need to understand what the consumer's attitude towards that product are and how can you form or shape or even change particular attitudes. And then what cues do consumers use to infer which products are superior to others? So for instance, I have identified that I have recognized that I need to buy a new car, and I have asked my friends and they have recommended me, let's say, Toyota. Now, the marketers need to understand why are the consumers, why are people recommending Toyota? Maybe it's because of the pricing, maybe it's because of the performance, maybe it's because of marketing, promotions. So marketers need to understand what cues will really influence that pre-purchase issue. Then comes the purchase issue. So from a consumer perspective, is acquiring a product a stressful or a pleasant experience? So if I'm going to a grocery store, would I go to a particular grocery store where parking is not available? Probably not. Would I go to a grocery store where I'm not greeted in a friendly manner? Probably not. And what does the purchase say about me? That matters a lot too. What do I feel? How satisfied do I feel about that purchase? And how would I be perceived by others? So these are the purchase issues. Will I go to a specific market because it has negative association with my social status? Probably not. And from a marketer perspective, how do the situational factors such as time pressure or store displays, they may influence the customer's purchase decision? So if I know that um, an ill-trained staff can negatively have an effect on the purchase decision, then I need to train them. So from a marketer perspective, it is important to understand why the consumer is while the consumer is acquiring that product, it has to be a pleasant experience. And then the post-purchase issue. So does the product provide the pleasure or perform its intended function or not? Marketing is all about creating, communicating, and delivering value. So you might create value, you might communicate value, but at the end, if it's not working as it was supposed to, then the consumer will have negative associations with that particular product. And a modern concept that has also appeared is, how is the product disposed of? What are the environmental consequences? So consumers, sustainable consumerism is on the rise, and consumers are becoming more aware of the environmental consequences of their choices. So what consumers now do is they do consider that, can I dispose of this, let's say this bottle, this can, without damaging the environment or not? If that product is not environmentally friendly to dispose of or to discard, then that might have an effect on their next purchase decision. So from a marketer's perspective, you need to determine whether a consumer will be satisfied with the product and whether he or she will buy it again or not. This is why it's important to recommend the right product to the customer. Instead of focusing on that particular sale, the marketer should always look into the long-term perspective. And again, does this person tell others about his or her experiences with the product and influence their purchase decision or not? This is why most of the brands are now encouraging uh, uh, their customers to post it online, to post the reviews online, specifically the restaurants. You get 20% off if you post a positive, if you post any kind of review. Similarly, many e-commerce sites have done that so that they have that culture in which the consumers are sharing their experiences, and that helps them in gaining more reach, more organic reach as well. So this is the entire consumer behavior process: pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. These are the three issues that we need to understand as a marketer, from not only the consumer perspective, but also the marketer's perspective, to have a holistic understanding of what consumer behavior is all about.